So hey, it's your host Jahan Sator here, and my guest today is author, life coach, and motivational speaker, and my wonderful friend, Kurline Speaks. And we are going to talk about the evolution of human consciousness and other important topics such as overcoming obstacles through coaching. And if we have time, we'll talk about some other things like social justice, maybe, civil rights, and her book, which is called Moments. So, Kurline, tell us. Oh, she got it right there.
Yeah. I think, I'm excited to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. Yeah, I can't wait to dive in. Yeah, I can't wait to dive in and just open up my life to all of you.
Great. So, who is Kurline Speaks, and how did you get started?
That's a very, very exciting question. Wow. So we go back, I want to say I go back solidly over 10 years, but I want to say this, that from a young age, I always believed that I was called to reach the masses. How? I did not know. It took a very long time to discover that. But fast forwarding a little bit, I think in the year of 2014 or 15 was really my defining year. Prior to that, I did some preaching and ministering and kind of coaching a little bit. Not so much on the heavy side, but in 2014, 15, when I actually worked in full-time ministry was when I really received that defining moment that really just changed my life. And so I had to engage in some activities for my seminary school. I was getting ready to graduate, and I had to engage in some activities. I always thought that I was going to be a gospel artist. Don't laugh. Don't chuckle. I can hear you guys. Don't. I always thought, hey, my shower does not lie, okay? But it looks like this time the shower. Yeah, I kind of told a lie. You know, we're in the shower and we're singing. But I always really like singing and you know, in the presence of people. And so we had this project at this particular church, and I had to come up with some kind of creative arts with the singing piece and a second project. I remember clearly when I auditioned for two of the, worship team leaders, when I was done singing, they said, no. And I thought, who do these people think they are? Like, how dare you, right? And I literally cried. And I kid you not, I cried. I was hurt. I was broken. I thought these people were trying to kill me and kill my dream. I literally thought so, especially in the church. I thought, who do these people think they are? Not realizing that I was being set up. And so fast forwarding, they spoke to me and found out, okay, maybe not singing, maybe teaching. And of course I was pouting. And I got the opportunity to, speak in front of an audience there that they created for me. And then everybody confirmed, oh, you're a speaker, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that. And I thought, I wasn't very excited. And then I started the second project as part of the seminary, which I named it My Sister's Keeper. After a few months, I figured, so like everybody's got My Sister's Keeper, even if my logo is different. And so I switched it over to Kurline J. Altus, my full name. After a few months again, it's like the Coca-Cola story, right? The rebranding every time. I switched that. Then I turned to Kurline J with the butterfly. After a few months again, I said, I'm not feeling this Kurline J thingy. I don't even like the butterfly, for goodness sake. And then we ended up with Kurline Speaks. And I said, okay, this is it right there. So since then, it's been Kurline Speaks. And it's helped me really just narrow the brand a lot more and just really dig deeper into myself and see that, okay, I am the brand. Everything's going to derive from that inspiration. And the rest is history. The rest, and here we are. I call it the rebranding, the Coca-Cola story, because a lot of people don't know Coca-Cola actually changed their logo a whole lot of times. So yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah,
I resonate with that story. It's very relatable for me, uh, for so many reasons. I got into the coaching around the same time as you, around 2014, and it was also through my passion for music. And
yeah. That's what
and
we
it
have in
was
common.
also, yeah, it was, and then it was also a lot of growing into that role. So I think people see a coach who's doing well and they think, oh, just start coaching and that's it. You'll get to this point of success. And they don't know that there's a series of defining moments.
That's right.
So
That's right.
it sounds like you had a lot, and I'm really interested to hearing more about what your defining moments were. So when I say that, what I mean is, what is one trauma that you've experienced? And when you look back on it, you realize that there was so much strength there. And you realize that besides your being redirected from the church in that moment you described, that you realize that you can tap into this challenge that you've overcome, and it was so debilitating that it qualifies you instantly to be a leader.
This question alone is just powerful. It's got me all excited. Um, and at the same time, I got chills because, of course, you're now I'm going back into a memory, and that's okay. That's okay to revisit that. And of course, my book talks about a different trauma, but I want to say that
Okay.
I had an experience. Um, I had an experience in a religious organization, and I want to say that's because that was the most recent traumatic event in my life. And you guys can't trace anything because I've worked in more than one church, so don't go tracing anything. But because that was the most recent, um, I think that was the most powerful for me. Um, I think that was the most powerful for me because then it was painful and I didn't realize my strength while I was going through the situation until I had individuals really asked me questions that were very thought provoking and had me take a step back and say, okay, I remember people asked me, how do you do it? Even after the event, how do you do it? How did you stay there? How did you endure this? How are you still loving people and wanting to help and wanting to still just do the thing that you like? You love being among people. You love to coach. How, how do you do that, having gone through such traumatic events? And I honestly did not have an answer at the time. I thought, oh, what do you mean? I don't understand what
Because you
you...
didn't realize you were doing it.
I was doing it. But now, and like you mentioned earlier, right, we have to grow into the role, right? We have to grow into whatever it is that our purpose is. Now I have a language to put with what I experienced, right? So now I can say, one, of course, I had God's strength, but also grit is another thing, right? So going through all of those traumas in the mind, although the mind is being attacked, but because of your strength and your purpose is greater than what you're facing, who you are has no choice but to push through all of the obstacles, push through all the pain, push for all the discomfort. And the discomfort and the pain, that right there is already an indicator that greatness is ahead of you. But it's the lack of pushing that stops us from reaching greatness. We have to push. Oh my, I'm getting excited here. The push is necessary. It's like it's like you have a baby in you, right? So your purpose, that's your thing. It's your baby, right? And you have to nurture that. And even while you're nurturing the baby, there's discomfort. Oh, talk about when labor comes. Oh, when you're this close, the pain comes. The pain comes. Oh, and all you have to do is push that thing out. But the pain is necessary. No pain, no baby. No pain, no gain. Right? We have so many cliches that we throw around, but seriously, pain is necessary, and pain is an indicator. Discomfort is also an indicator. It's how you look at things, right? Perspective. So if you're looking at it as, oh my goodness, it looks like everyone's against me, I'm not going to make it, it's always something. And if you're just whining and crying, I say it's okay to cry. It's okay to verbalize what you feel. I am a big supporter of that. It's, you better put language to what you feel, but you got to
Absolutely.
going. Yes.
I'm so glad you said that, because I know so many coaches that don't like to go that route, and I guess everybody has their thing. However, when you're in the middle of that push, and like you said, that pain comes, it's really a distraction. It's really just to see if you want what's on the other side of that fear.
Boom.
And I feel, from observing the way people relate their challenges, it's like they lock themselves in a cage of words.
Right.
And if they don't get to that point where they're so upset that they have the opportunity then to verbalize those challenges, that cage continues to go on, and they never get free from it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah. Wow.
I felt like I needed to interject that there, because there's so many people that actually just don't have the courage to say that. It's because they still live in this paradigm, and that's weakness. And how could it ever really be? How could freeing yourself from something be weak?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you have to push yourself out. I want to say push your purpose out. Give birth to it. So basically there's life in you. There's life in you. Give birth to that. Wow. You know, it's sort of a lot of things are stigmatized, you know, and I know for sure that a lot of, and I can tell you, a lot of cultures really associate going through a thing to be a negative thing. That's not always so. Life did not promise you a bed of roses at all, and you need a story anyway. What's going to be if you don't go through anything? It's just that some of us, you see, I say God give each of us a different measure of grace, right? And so some of us can roll with the punches. Some of us can just really take that thing. So I always say, you know, tears in your eyes, keep going. On bended knees, like an old wounded soldier, keep going. I think that's the trick right there. Keep going.
It's true. It's true. I've had to tell some of my clients, you know, you're going to have days where you fall, but fall forward and then crawl in that direction. And they just kind of look at me like, that's just an over exaggeration. You're not taking what I'm saying seriously. I'm saying, no, I am taking what you're saying seriously. But that's literally what it looks like.
Right.
It's not going to be an easy walk on any path. So having said that, though, and I know I did interject, I'm really, really curious about what's in that book.
This
Yeah.
it's
I want to know what's in that book.
it's fully loaded. That's for sure. It's fully loaded. Moments by Kurline Speaks, dedicated to my son Philip. Looking into your eyes reminds me of what unconditional love is. I truly thank God for you. So that's my introduction here. As you read through those pages, you got to get ready. It's not a very thick book, but it's rich, because there I outlined a lot of events showcasing the trauma, but how and what helped me overcome the trauma. I think that's why I want us to really keep our eyes on, because sometimes we,
That's what I want to know.
yeah, sometimes we want to, right? So of course, when we read the book, we talk about surviving molestation, exclusion, and suicide. So a lot of you, if you don't know my story, so at a very young age, I had a horrible experience being molested as a child. And as a result, it led me to become very suicidal. I think the most problematic thing about this trauma is that it lingered on into my adult life, causing a whole lot of mess, causing me to love the wrong people, receiving the wrong kinds of, all kinds of mess. But I believe in therapists. I believe in coaches. I believe in talking to people. I believe in seeking wise counsel. I believe in a community. I believe in a wise circle. Because what I experienced at such a young age, 13, 14, 15, those are very critical ages, right? And so even as early teens, this is where we're finding ourselves, getting to know who we are, really looking for validation. And so not really being able to find that in the way that I expected to was really devastating. And of course, you know, it happened with a family member, so that doesn't help. Um,
Yeah. Yikes.
yeah, and I think what made it most difficult is that in my culture, I think we're better now in my culture, but a few years back, we weren't as open about topics like these, right? A lot of things were always swept under the carpet. It was always, this is a family thing, keep it in the family, or totally being ignored, right? And so I wasn't always free and open to share my story. And I had another concern that I wasn't going to be received well. And I always say, my story is not a pity party. So I want you to see the trauma, but I also want you to see me. Not saying that along the way, it was easy. Okay, I wrote the book, and I think writing the book, surprisingly, and this is going to really shock you. When I was sitting and writing this book, it was in the middle of another traumatic event.
Wow.
This book was birthed from another traumatic event. While I was being excluded and had nothing to do because of my exclusion, right? I decided to write, to kill time. I want to say great things are birthed through pain.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And was it you? Was it you that posted earlier about the greatest works are made by those who are willing to share their pain or something like that?
Heck yeah, something around that.
I
Yeah,
think it was you.
I think so. I think so because you're stalking my page and I'm stalking yours all the time. So it's one of us.
Truth. Truth. Mac DeCastro 712. Thanks for your comment. She says you were able to find your inner strength even though you didn't realize it at the time looking back at it. And so I sometimes think on how I went through the trauma and go through the other side of the tunnel. Great way of putting it.
Oh, wow.
Great way of putting it.
Yeah. Oh.
I apologize if I get your names wrong. Is it Shalitha Sanders? Thank you for being so transparent, hearts. Corinne 4460, you are amazing, Kurline.
Oh, guys.
Mac DeCastro, again, I am just amazed with you, Kurline. All right. I'm loving the feedback and the love here.
Thank you, guys.
So where can everybody get your book? That's the most
Oh,
important.
yeah. It's everywhere. So you can find it on lulu.com, Amazon, and Barnes and Nobles. So you just go in there and search, and Google Books also. Go in there and search Moments by Kurline Speaks, and it's going to pop up. Also, you can visit my website, kurlinejspeaks.com, and there is a link there that you can click on and purchase your book right there also. Yeah.
That's great. Corinne says, I have one. All right. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, girl.
Get on the Kurline train. So my next question is about consciousness. All of us who are on this path of service and teaching, we all honor and draw strength from our connection to source. Mm-hmm. What are your views on what is consciousness?
That's a deep question. I think it's
I know.
yeah. I think it's our own individual awakeness, right? I always say to people, be woke, right? Woke within you, right? Your consciousness. As you mentioned, so we draw from our own connections, which leads me to say that our circle, we have to be so intentional about our circle, very intentional, as this is a wide world, very big. And I believe in relationships, and I believe we need to nurture and foster healthy relationships all the time. But of course, there's always a smaller circle that you have to have, right? So that you can truly be connected to and be yourself, be free. You can be vulnerable with people you can be real vulnerable with, who can give you feedback, who you can ask for feedback. I always say no man or no woman is an island. We don't stand alone at all. And if we do, it's by choice, because we have to be intentional about our circle. Be intentional about the people that are in your life. It's okay to have the wide circle. It's okay to have all the people around you. But you have to have that smaller circle right there. So that way you can draw from and they can draw from you. So vice versa. So we don't want to get sucked away, or we don't want to suck people and dry them up, right? You want it to be a win-win situation, a two-way street. And so I think connections, and I know you talk a lot about connections. I think connections are very, very important. And that's your consciousness right there. Knowing who you are, whose you are, knowing your circle, knowing what you're able to give out, knowing what you're able to take in, knowing when to set boundaries, knowing when to draw your own line, knowing when to give your own self a red flag. I think it's just balance. You walk within yourself, and that can take time to get there. It can take time. Like don't put pressure on yourself. It's okay to make a mistake and to come back and fix it. It's okay to make a mistake and to still be gentle and compassionate with yourself first. And when you're able to do that, then you're able to do that with others.
I love how you said you have to know when to give yourself a red flag. And everything else that you said is so relevant as well, because if you do not cultivate those things within yourself, all of your relationships will suffer. Your primary relationship is to yourself. You should be married to yourself first and foremost.
I'm all over that.
And you should know, and I'm sorry to be shooting all over everybody tonight. That's just the way it is in this moment. Because you cannot relate to someone and expect them to be who you are as well. That is not what consciousness is. Consciousness is this non-local energy that we tap into. We are in and out of it at all times. Mm-hmm. We are in every tree and every other person. But if we are going around, and this is why I talk about boundaries in the way that I do, because I want to break this paradigm about the unhealthy boundary settings. You don't know who someone could become. But if you are not becoming that person first, you will never find them. Wow. You understand?
Damn.
So I love that you said that, because I want to hear more people saying this out loud. So it's
Yeah,
just not me out here yelling on my soapbox every day.
I like that, and it kind of brings me to the whole relationship thing with, you know, with your partner, whoever you're dating, right? It brings me right there. And I know I've been down that road a lot, and thus we can spill our little secret. You know, you've done a little coaching with me too, and that's okay. Coaches make coaches, right? But it's true that we're it's become the best version of you before putting an expectation on others to become the best versions of themselves to please you or to make you come up, right? And so when we're dating people who don't challenge us, and not challenge in the negative sense, but challenge us, right? Challenge me that I can come up another level to become the best, you know, check me a little bit, hey, you know, challenge me and I challenge you. But if we're busy putting all of those expectations on people and putting meaning on everything others are saying, it's everything for me now. It's a win-win situation with every relationship. And I swear to you, everything, and I think I posted that earlier, I want to be able to add value to lives, and I mean that. But I also want lives to add value to me, because I believe relationships are two-way streets. And so being intentional about not just who's in your circle, but who you're seeing, who you're dating, intentional, because that's tied to your future right there. That's tied to your purpose. And so if there's no value being added there, like if you're dating someone who's not supportive of not just your brand or the things you do, but this person has to be on a level of understanding to see that this is not just her doing something. This is purpose. So again, perspective, your view. Somebody once said to me, after I dropped a video on YouTube, someone once said to me, oh my, this video didn't get as much likes as the other video, and this, and became a little comparison there. And I had to, and I was really excited and proud of myself after, because again, we have to be able to set those boundaries that makes us feel really, really great. And I stopped this individual and I said, you're missing this. You're missing this. It's not the likes right now. That's good. I want that. Don't get it twisted. I need that. But that's not it. That's not it. So when you're making connections with people, your word again, Jahan, it's your word, connections. When you're making the
Don't make me own it.
you know, when, you know, I'm drawing from you all the time, but when we're making those connections and building those relationships, we're building portfolios, not just business portfolios, but we're building relationship portfolios. We're building connection portfolios. We're building these things, right? And so sometimes we have to look at it as that. And in everything, like a relationship, like your business or whatever you're doing, the foundation is very important. And so while people are seeing the surface, you're seeing deeper. You're the visionary, has to be able to see deeper. So that way you're able to set the boundaries. You're not being dismissive. You're not cutting people off. We're not cutting people off. Don't be quick to cut people off. People are still growing, but it's okay to redirect their thinking and what they're saying to you. You take them into that pathway you are. So it's not about the likes. We're building relationships here. We're building connections here.
Right.
Purpose.
That person that said that, that person that said that, I mean, I could only tell you in hindsight what I would have said. I would have said that, you know, I can't expect you to understand that this is about the expression of something that's much greater than what likes could ever give me.
You know,
And at the same time, I also feel like that could go either way. I could say that, or I could just say nothing and continue
right.
doing what I was doing.
Right.
So
Goodness.
you got me wanting to say so much, because people are unaware, and I say this like 10 times a day. I swear to you, I say this 10 times daily or more. It is the quality of your connections that goes on to determine the quality of your life.
My goodness.
And it is that
down.
What do you say?
I'm talking to the viewers. You guys need to write that down. Jahan, can you
And it is that,
down somebody? Drop that in the chat.
or catch the replay if you want.
You know?
Isha Black Rose goes 100, 100. And that's exactly what I was about to say. We have this screwed up perception that in relationships, it's 50-50. No, 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 no. Everybody brings 100% to the table or stay at home. And it doesn't matter if it's a friendship,
Drop the claps,
your
people.
client, your co-workers, your partner, the effing cashier at the supermarket. Bring 100%.
Right.
When you scan my bread, I want 100% from you. Because I'm giving you 100%. I'm out here smiling at you and shit, blessing you. I want 100% back.
Okay.
So it is that people have gone so far in the opposite direction with their expectations. It's not the fault of them. It is just that this is the way things are playing out, and so we're picking up these bad habits from societal, if you want to use the word, enculturation. That's probably the right word for it. That we're just learning to treat people and to be very dismissive of ourselves first and foremost, but then of the role that other people play. You never know who someone could become, like I said before. And I love that you said, don't go around cutting people off. Because I've had to learn the hard way that when you burn bridges, sooner or later you will turn around and you will have nowhere to go back to.
I think the saddest,
no way to get there.
Yeah, I think the saddest part in life is that we think that we'll never see these people again. Something new that I've come up with. I say I used to say you never know who this person can become, but now I'm also saying, to piggyback on what you said, that you never know who you're being introduced to. So you out there in the audience, if people are messing with you, because they know that people are just messy, and they want you to dim your light so that they can feel good about themselves, or they want to take your light out altogether so they can shine, right? But keep it in your mind that it was just an introduction. So sometimes you go somewhere and they mistreat you, and you left the place broken. You just all messed up because, oh, they broke your heart, they mistreated you, they tarnished your name and your reputation, and you're broken. No. Begin to look back at all those situations. I don't care if it happened 20 years ago, and say, wow, it was just an introduction. They were introduced to me. You weren't introduced to them. They were introduced. Yeah, it was just an introduction. Guess what? They now know your name. They now know your name. I am very big on names. And so when I meet people, I don't want you to know Kurline. I need you to know the whole name, the whole darn name. Kurline Altis.
Right.
I mean, when you put it in Google, you'll see everything else that comes up, but I need you to know the whole name. You put Kurline Speaks in Google, you're going to see all the stuff, but I want you to know my full name. I go on a job, I go on an interview, I go to church, I go to supermarket. I don't care what you're going to do with my name. You can't steal anything. I'm going to tell you my whole name or just my first name. You need to know my name, how it's pronounced, and how it's spelled. I just believe that introduction, that's how I'm looking at things right now. People are being introduced to us. We're being introduced to others. They know your name. It didn't work out, they hurt you. They now know your name.
It is so true. Let me tell you how many people I run across now that I've come back here and I hadn't seen them in years. Every single one of them remembers my name. Every single one of them remembers my name. I look completely different to how I used to. Every single one of them knows. That's the hand.
They do. They do.
I should not have effed with him. Because I thought he was never... And they were only coming at you from their own concept of not being enough. Everybody needs to understand that. So
I can't stand. Can I say that? I just want to let it out. I've just wanted to let it out all week. I just cannot stand insecure people. Insecure people are so difficult. They just give people trouble. I'm serious. It's like, I think the saddest part about insecure people that they're not realizing it shows. It shows. It shows. And people who are not telling you and not checking you is because they're feeling bad for you. If you're in a circle and people are not checking you, that's not love. They need to check you. And if you're at a place where you cannot receive any kind of checking, but you want to check everybody, everybody's going to continue to walk away from you and leave you to yourself. Insecurity stinks. And you can smell that stuff from way distant. You know? Man, it shows. I just
Yeah,
put it out there. It shows. So folks, yeah, get it together because it really shows. Yeah. Men, women,
yeah,
it's
everybody.
it just smells. Everybody. Yeah.
So now that we've said that, we know that obviously we can't get away from every insecure person. And a lot of the people who come
Sadly.
to us as coaches, they're
Yep.
insecure about something. That's why they're here. So let's talk about acceptance in terms of its role in the process of working with a life coach. How do you go about getting people to dig into that concept, acceptance for, whatever problem or for themselves?
Yeah. Absolutely. I think as coaches, so where we start off by validating people for who they are. And of course we do a lot of listening before we give out to
Validating them for who they actually are and not validating them for the bad habits they're bringing to you, right?
you said it. Oh yeah, and you know it's coming. We're gonna check them for the bad habits because we have to be honest. That's the only way we can help people. We have to be honest, and so we're very observant. So we take time with how much nuggets we give, right? So it's like a baby. You don't just shove it down the throat. So you take time. Unfortunately, some with some folks it takes longer, but we validate. We listen. Okay, this is where you are. Okay, I hear you, right? And one of the things I like to do is to ask a lot of questions because most times what I've discovered is that people have the answer within them already.
They
And
just don't want to
so,
say it.
yeah. And so I love to ask the questions because I want you to hear yourself. So I want you to you're hearing the question. So the question really, as much as it's a question, but it's the problem that you've presented to me. And so I'm giving it back to you. And I'm putting the ball back in your court so that you can decide what you want to do with it. And so in regards to acceptance, just really having people accept themselves, accept where they are in the process of whether the process of healing, transition, accept yourself and accept the fact that, okay, I need work, I need help, I need guidance, right? Because only when you do that you can really receive what's been given to you. Because, and I know you've experienced it, people can come to us, but they really don't even want to hear anything we have to say. Then you're wondering, why did you come? Why you
Exactly.
and here you are folding your arms, rolling your eyes, and ready to take me out emotionally. And of course, we got to be patient, and we know they're not ready yet. But it's asking them, "Are you
I
ready?
tend to be
Anytime?"
I tend to be a bit controversial. I tend to put them on timeout and I say, you hold on. Because I guess in the Caribbean, you don't take the discipline that's being given to you to get your ass beat.
You
That old saying, let me give you something to cry for now.
Yeah, you won't get it either way.
so
How do you
so
want to take?
I tend to just put them in timeout. And usually that process of timeout gives them enough space to realize, oh shit, I was really rude to my coach, wasn't I? By not giving up the goods. Some people need that. Some people need to be reparented.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
yeah.
they, like you said, it's a huge difference between sympathy and empathy.
Mm.
Empathy means
Mm.
I will listen to what you're saying, and I might not know exactly what you're talking about, but I will damn try my hardest to understand what you're saying. Help me understand everything as best as you can.
Right.
But sympathy is that oh poor baby thing that people think they're going to get sometimes when they come to a coach.
Yeah.
And those oh poor baby, poor me, woe is me, I have a problem and it's so bad. Those people are usually the ones that just really don't want to grow anywhere, and the pull of the familiar is so much more appealing to them. Why? Because people are addicted to their own memories and their own suffering more than anything else that could bring them all the joy on this planet.
Yeah. Jahan, I have a video on YouTube. It's called No More Pity Party. And I remember years ago when I released that video, I was really talking to myself first because of a lot of stuff I was dealing with at the time. But I realized that, oh my gosh, either you're going to grow through this or you're just going to get stuck. And you're going to get no help. Absolutely no help. And you can tell 100 people your same story all you want. They will listen to you. What happens when you walk away? That's you to figure that out. But they'll listen to you, all right? And your sad stories. And so I tell people, just get rid of the pity party. It's one thing to be able to share. And even with coaching, I allow people to share. But halfway through, then I find things to highlight because I highlight their strength, right? I am so sorry that you went through this. You don't deserve this, yada, yada. And then they're going on and on and on and on and on and on and on about everybody else that hurt them. And I would just interject and say, but you're still standing. Because I know that I've validated your feelings throughout. But then what I notice is that if we keep on doing that, like you were saying, that whole sympathy thing, we want to become empathetic, right? So the sympathy is, it's okay for a few minutes. It's okay for a short time because you need it. Some people are just, we gotta give people what they need sometimes. Let's get them started, get the diapers out, get the peens out, get the wipes out. Let them feel good. You're about to get changed. But then halfway through, I'm throwing the diaper off and I'm yanking a pull up on you because I need you to grow up real quick, right? Because I'm tired of changing your messy diaper because I'm putting it on you, but I have a feeling I'm going to be the one to take it off. So before we do that, so I'm nurturing you, but then we're going to slide that pull up real quick because I need you to realize your strength in the midst of all of this. Yes, they hurt me. Yes, I was bruised. And then you can mix it up. It takes practice. Mix it up. You can talk about your grief. You can talk about your pain, but also share the highlights. This is what Moments is about. And so I talk about the trauma, but I do not bask in the trauma. I don't bask in there. So I always tell people, when you read, you will see how I portray strength at the same time, right? Because as a coach, I am very strength-based. My approach is strength-based. I'm going to whoop your behind with some questions. I'm going to whoop your behind with some questions, and I'm going to rub your back after. You good? You good? Go on, girl. Go get it. Get it, girl. And while you're getting it, I'm pushing it. I'm kicking you out while you're getting it. Go, girl. Go. Get out of here, girl.
So
that's love.
True. It really can be like that sometimes.
It's love.
Corinne says Barbados BB accent. You don't know.
I love it. Caribbean vibe, king and queen things. Yes.
Corinne voted. Mama Hawk. Me, I'm in timeout, Jahan. You made me find the answers and implement them. You're damn right your ass is in timeout. Get back in there. I'm ready for you yet. Corinne says, I think self-love, self-growth, and self-esteem plays a big part. I think in this whole thing, and I love that she said that, in this whole thing, take the self as invisible. Mm-hmm. It's just love. It's just growth. It's just esteem. Mm-hmm. It's just motivation. Let all those other words be invisible and understand that you cannot have a counterpart to something that you don't have in yourself. So assume that it is there and move forward.
Oh, yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the biggest mistake that people make, because everybody's, and I love that they're doing it still, because at least it's a platform to jump off of.
Right.
But everyone is getting bad information or getting introduced to what coaching is through social media. Because the whole thing has just really exploded in the past 7 years.
Okay.
And it's become this monster. But then they start looking to whatever's inside that social media for guidance. When the very thing we just talked about, acceptance of self, and knowing that that's where you start. Personal accountability is the name of the game. So
yeah, you can't, I like that, because you can't be making the same mistakes over and over and expect a different result. Personal accountability. Give yourself a red flag, like I said earlier. I mean, at some point, and I'm not saying having gone through all of the tough things that I have, and I'll tell you, it's not that I'm still not going through certain things, okay? I've had some amazing people in my life. I've had really amazing coaches in my life. Some I cursed out really bad. You know, I mean, I didn't know better. I was younger. I mean, I cursed this one coach so bad. Oh my gosh, I got to call her up anyway, because Lord, I mean, you know, because sometimes we're at places in our life where we just cannot receive. So I really have had amazing people. And I mean, even with my family, I'm a big family girl. My family, we've cursed each other out so bad. Oh my gosh, we should be on like Dr. Phil. But we've grown so much. I mean, we've grown so much. We've come to understand and accept each other. We understand empathy and sympathy. I mean, you would be amazed. You'd be amazed. I mean, I have my mom who drives me nuts. When she decides to check me, I'm like, I'm gonna call you back. But I'm like, I'm getting a call, Mom. Mom, let me take this call right quick. But she already knows, you know. And so I need a minute, because at the time I may not be able to receive it. And so I always tell people the same thing. If you have to give your own self a timeout, it's okay. At the time you may be too broken. Your mind may not be clear. You cannot receive what's being given to you. That's okay to take a step back and allow people. And Jahan, I know you're going to agree with this, because we talk about this. Allow people to go through their feelings. Allow people to feel what they feel. Allow people. But I think the mistake that we make is that we sink in those feelings for too long. And so you're in relationships, not just, I'm not talking just intimate when I say relationship. I'm not just talking about your man, woman, boo, whatever it's called, your girlfriend, and, you know, all of that, because we know we respect the LGBTQ plus community. So we understand that. So I'm not just talking about those intimate relationships. I'm talking about relationships with each other, even within the family and your coworkers and all that stuff. It's not the end of the world if somebody's angry. It's not the end of the world if somebody's sad. Allow people to feel what they feel. And as coaches and as social workers, that's what we do. Allow people. So don't eliminate people. Don't dismiss them altogether just because they expressed how they feel, or just because they're going through an emotion. We really have to allow that, because people are still growing, and it's our job to continue to be that example. A lot of pressure is on us all the damn time. We're not perfect. We're not just trying to say that we are the blueprint, but the best coaches out there are the people who have actually been through the stuff. So like Jahan said, this coaching thing blew up in the last 7 years. Everybody's a coach. Everybody's a daggone coach. I'm like, but you know what? You are the thing before you attain the title. You gotta be the function before you get the title.
Yes.
So even before you go to college to get the degree, the LG, MSW, all the letters and all of the alphabets, I'm like, I'm just gonna put LMNOP behind my name. Shoot, I'm gonna put the whole Elmo thing on there, the whole Sesame Street behind my name. Kurline Speaks LMNOP.
Y'all in the chat heard what she just said? She said accreditation is not competency.
I said, thanks for putting language on that. There you go. That's my coach too, guys. Just so you know. Swing on his page. But it's true. So before you become that thing, you already had to have the function, the attitude, the character for it, right? And I know a lot of you can relate because, you know, people call you up for advice. Yeah, people call you up for advice. And I always say everybody don't always need advice. They call you up, they may just want you to listen. Again, discernment, right? Pay attention to the timing. Pay attention to the climate of what's happening in the person's life. Pay attention. And so those are signs. So while we were going through all of our traumas, and so while we were dealing with all kinds of things, we know we're seasoned. So we didn't just label ourselves coaches. It's all of those experiences. These things will birth some things out of you. I'm telling you. I'm excited here.
I don't want to say I am on the war path, but I am very vigilant about the fake coaches that declare themselves experts in some field. And when you look at their posts, they have like a few hundred posts, and it's all stuff they've ripped off from someone else.
Okay.
And
get your own content.
They've gone through all the measures. They've gone through all the measures of making sure their feed looks a particular way because they need to follow the business model. But none of that really exists. When you're really providing value, it doesn't matter how it looks. It doesn't matter how it sounds. It doesn't matter how much it appeals to the algorithm. Right. It's going to find its way to the right people, and the right people will find their way to it.
You said it.
And I had an incident the other night. I had a baby chicken in this hand, and he's sick. He's passed now. So I'd gotten these two baby chickens, and they were ill. So his sister died first, and I had him because he was missing her, and obviously missing his mom and stuff. But they were abandoned. So I have a baby chicken in this hand. I have some food I'm eating at my dinner, and I'm scrolling through Instagram checking to see, all right, who liked this post and how do I engage with these people? And this person pops up in my inbox, and he's like, hey, so what'd you like about my page? And I wasn't following him. I was not following him. So I was kind of like, let me click and see what he's talking about. Am I following him? Like, what did I like? Did I give him some indication? I guess I must have liked it. So I went to see what I did like, and it was a post about listening. And so I went back and I said, well, to be honest with you, nothing in particular stood out. I just saw that you made a post about listening, and I agreed with what you said, and so I gave it a like. He got upset. And, you know, still had baby chicken in this hand, still eating food with this hand. And he says, I sense that you're being sarcastic or something retarded like that. Oh. And he got mad at me. And I was thinking to myself, maybe I manifested this. Because I'm always talking about these insecure people who couldn't lead a horse to water if they were both on a boat in the Pacific. And he found me and started mouthing off. And I said to him, you know what? Perhaps you can stop making assumptions about what people are saying to you.
Right.
And go back.
Right.
And grow up. Right. And grow into the role of a coach.
Yes.
Before you come at people and push them away. Because you're not going to help anybody with a piss poor effing attitude.
Wow.
I went back to eating my dinner and talking to the baby chicken and living life like normal.
Yeah.
Because people, I hope that a lot of people who are interested in becoming coaches are hearing this. You have to grow into the role. You just can't say it.
You have to.
You can't go and take a $25 course and then become a coach.
No, you can't. You can't. And you have to have that real security within yourself and your purpose, knowing and fully understanding who you are, what your purpose is, and because when you do, you can be moved. Things cannot easily just things will shift around you, but you won't shift, right? You will roll with it. You'll roll with the punches. You will ride with the storm. I I do a lot of, Kurline Speaks on YouTube. And one of my videos that I dropped recently, there was, okay, a whole bunch of thumbs up and then one thumbs down. Now, of course, I know who do it. I mean, I see all the analytics, but I don't have time for this. But the individual hanged himself. He said to me, Kurline, all these thumbs up, and then do you know there's a thumbs down? I'm like, call yourself out. And I said, that's good. And he's like, what? I can hear in his voice. He didn't say what. He's just like, but I can hear the what, right? And I said, that's great. And I said, because that means there's real interaction on the page. It shows that there are different types of thinking, people who agree and people who see things differently. Like, I don't care about everybody liking the thing. That's not the point. Different diversity of thought is very important. So when we talk about diversity and inclusion, we're not just talking about skin color and race. We're talking also about diversity of thought. And so I'm excited. If you're coming on my page and you're putting a thumbs down, come, please. Absolutely. And so I said that to him, and he got confused because, of course, that seemed like it was way over his head. It looks like he got confused. Let me tell you, within 24 hours, the thumbs down was gone.
I was just about to say to you, that just means you changed his mind.
His problem. Sometimes people do things. People are so there's bullies that are subtle, right? Subtle bullying. So they're bullying that's like, it's right there in the open and it's in your face and you can tell, oh, this person is just mean. This person just don't like me. But some things are subtle. And the worst thing is for these individuals to think that we miss it. Oh, we coaches, we don't miss a beat. The thing is, we have,
just because you don't say anything don't mean you miss it.
Right. We've just attained wisdom and we choose what we respond to. Right. We don't want to be reactive all the time, because I could tell you off in a hot minute, but that's a choice. So we choose not to go that route. Right. So we don't want to be reactive. We want to respond. So when you talk your mess, we're going to respond. Now, if you call it, I don't want you to coach me all the days of my life. You're always trying to coach. You got to understand the coaching, and then you got to understand the conversation. And so it takes intentionality and maturity to be able to engage in a conversation that is life-changing and meaningful, not just for you, but for others around you. If you begin to change the mindset and take, like Jahan said, let the word self become invisible sometimes. So if you take self out of it sometimes, and think about other people and how other people can benefit from conversations. And if your conversation can now begin to challenge others in a positive way to grow and to come up, then you know your job is done. Again, the coaching thing, you have to have the function before you can have the title. It comes from life's experiences. And I know someone once asked, a coach is born or a coach is made? I said, you go figure. Go ahead and pay a $25 certificate and tell me if they're born or they're made. Go ahead.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
People are
this notion, yeah, people are probably out there cackling. This notion that you only have to be a few steps ahead of someone to be a coach is what is causing the problem.
Woo!
Because if you are
big,
that and other things, because if you are in a dark tunnel and the person at the back has the flashlight, think about it. You would think the person at the front would have the flashlight, the one leading the way. Except in this instance, as a coach, the issue that needs to be solved is the flashlight. So who's holding it? The client or the coach? So the coach can't see in the dark. So both of y'all gonna stumble and fall, because even though he holding the flashlight, he's walking behind you, and you trip and fall, and he trip and fall over you, and now you got a whole stinking ass mess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's ignorance. You cannot proclaim yourself to be a leader, an authority on something that you have not gone through all the way to the other side, and you can see it objectively from different angles. You're so far away from it, you can be like, okay, I see it from this side, it was like this, it looked this way. You see it from this side, it looked that way. What is going on? And just to put that to rest, I want to move on to two other topics before we get out of here. And let me start with what I think is the most important one. We teach our children through a process that comes across a lot like bullying. Because we're breaking old paradigms of parenthood as we move forward. And a lot of us are becoming more conscious with the way we parent. But when our kids go to school, we can't help what they pick up at school. That education system is what breaks them in a lot of ways, because what they're saying to our kids is, learn this exactly the way it is and regurgitate it, or you are not a valid member of society. As a mother, what is the most important information to give to a child in this era? Because you're a coach,
yeah,
but you're also a parent.
yes,
And I have clients who are interested in becoming coaches at some point as well, but they're parents. And they are trying to, I suppose, they're trying to see themselves in a position of leadership over these kids. But that's not necessarily it. It's still an equal thing. They just came into the world, yeah, but you're still equals. And there is a degree to actually coaching them that can qualify you to become a leader in some ways.
right.
Because you're learning how to teach a young child that has very little concept of emotional regulation and problem solving, how to do these things as a parent. And these things get stripped from them when they go to school because it's such a rigid system. So
It
hit
is.
me with it.
I agree. And of course, I am mom to an adorable 11-year-old. So, great question. Yeah. I think critical thinking is very important, right? So I talk to my son all the time about thinking outside the box. And like you said, the curriculum and everything else that's being taught this is it. Everything is rote learning, right? This is how we do it. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. You tell the kids what comes out of G. They have to go all the way back, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, to figure out what comes out of G, because the learning is so rote. And so we want our children to move away from that and think outside the box and begin to mix things, and so that way you can piece things together on your own and be creative. I think to our children, we talk a lot about innovation, but what does that look like? And our kids can be innovative in so many different ways. I like to do the old school thing, or what I call old school, because again, this culture kind of downs a lot of things. There are days I tell my son, and I said, it's not to be punitive, right? Just take my Amazon box and begin to cut. Do something, right? You over there making TikTok videos, cut something up. Here's some glue. What's all that glue I have in the drawer? All these cardstock papers I have in the drawer. Let's get something going. And then he's always amazed at his own creativity, because we want to be intentional about bringing out individual creativity that will lead to the real innovation for the next generation. Another thing that's very key with parenting for me, I talk to my son a lot about wisdom, but it's a big umbrella term, right? But here's what I narrow it down to. I tell him about wisdom. If something happens in school, he knows I have a calendar on the wall and we check off each day in the square. If I better not get an email from the school. I better not get a call from the school. I better not get a letter from the school. And we check off at the end of each day whether you got something or not. And so at the end of the day, you want to go on Fortnite by Friday night. So you better work hard for your stuff. Now, but here's the thing. And then he would come up with all the excuses of why he got into that trouble if he did get an email, right? Because every email the topic is always behavioral alert, the school. And I said, teachers have a job to do. Everybody's got a job to do. The bullies in the school has a job to do. Everybody has a job to do. The people who are chatting away while they're supposed to be working have a job to do. I want you to use wisdom. And this is where the real coaching starts. After I say this word, I want you to use wisdom. Remember, I'm speaking to a small child. So we have to break that down, but we can throw the word wisdom because we want them to become familiar with the word. I want you to use wisdom. And then I follow up with a question. Remember, I love to coach from a question approach, right? I would say, what does wisdom look like? And I would say it has to be practical, right? And then we'd break it down into examples, right? Papi, I know you're a talker like your mommy. And so you're with your friends and you come to class. The teacher is over there and you guys are talking. I said, sometimes you could be like this. Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. Yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to be back right quick. I'll be back. I said, because you know they're about to get in trouble. You will be back. That's your way of moving away from the crowd. Make things practical and intentional. Find a way to get away from the crowd. If you have to be right like this and whispering under your breath, do that. Because the minute the eyes of the teacher is set on you, they're emailing your mother. They're calling. I said, I got work to do. I got people to coach. Stop. Don't call my phone. I don't have the time. So I do add a lot of pressure on him because I want him to be able to make wisdom practical in his life. And that's not just with school. And I would tell him, I said, come on, that consciousness in you, that awakening in you, if you're somewhere, normally we like to say, something told me, something in the back of my head, I feel a thing. Give that thing a name. What do you want to call it? The Holy Spirit, the good voice, the discernment. Give it a name, right? Whatever that thing is to you, you better listen to it. So if you're somewhere and your boys, your friends, they're over there inside of the McDonald's taking 200 years, and now you look around, you're the only boy standing outside, you better run. Get the hell out of there. Wisdom, common knowledge, it tells you something right. You don't need proof to know that something is not right. You don't always need proof. Your discernment and that inner voice speaking to you is enough. Go with it. Get out. And so we talk about what wisdom looks like in practical ways all the time because we want our children to be creative. Remember, we want to foster individual creativity, and accepting our children for who they are. Just, I tell my son all the time, you don't have to be the perfect A student. I didn't know a 1 from a 2 in math. I'll kid you not. God knows he gave me a mouthpiece. English, let's go. Let's go before the pronouns and the verb. Let's just go in the English part. Math, I'm like, oh, this is embarrassing. This is really, really, enough is enough. Enough is enough. And I tell him all the time, I said, there was a time in high school I told myself, enough is enough. And I started to stay after school to get help from the smarties, right? And so you don't have to be a perfect A student, but here's the thing. You have to put your best foot forward. I have a problem with you not making an effort and putting the best foot forward. And so that same thing that I said to my son also, I said, if you fail the class, I'm going to whoop you. I have a problem with that. And he's like, but you said I don't have to be an A student. Think about it a little bit, cogitate a little bit where I'm going with this. But you said I don't have to be an A student. So why would you punish me if I fail the class? You're going to get punished because you didn't ask for help. And so it's the same principle with life as adults. When we don't reach out for help, we want to pick and choose which coach, or this coach got to have 99.2K followers. This one have to have gone to John Maxwell. This one have to have gone to... Guys, get to know coaches, get to know people, get to know their stories, their experiences, and where their coaching drives from, right? Get to know that, and so that you can get the best and you can get the real deal, the 100% that I think Aisha put down in the chat about 100%, 100%, you want that, right? When you don't reach out for help, it's the same thing where we do parenting. So as coaches, we're also parenting to a certain extent. So it could be young children or adults. When we don't reach out for help, there are consequences. Sometimes the consequences is just that we'll continue to just linger and bask in our own displeasure or our own failures. Will be the worst thing that someone can do to you is to leave you to yourself. When you don't ask for help and people say, okay, you're on your own. The worst thing someone can do to you is leave you to yourself. Allow people to give you what they want to give you. Allow people into your life because you don't want to be left to yourself.
A lot of parents don't like to hear that. They don't like to hear this concept these days of punishing your child. I'm not saying beat the living shit out of your child.
Right.
We're not saying hit them at all. We're saying teach them
That
accountability
game away.
by showing them how life works. Because if you don't show up 100%, yes, school is ridiculous. I'll be the first person to say it to my
Exactly.
kids when I have them.
Right.
School is, as we say out here, school is beer shite.
It's something.
A good portion of it does not make any sense. And yet it is necessary because that is just the system.
It's necessary.
You have to know
Yes.
which side to push the boulder up the hill from.
Yes.
If you're going up the hill, it's going to be hard to push it up the hill. Obviously, it's going to be in a neutral position if you don't push it at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to go somewhere. It can't just stay there.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do about asking, your mom and dad for help? What are you going to do about asking your peers for help?
Yeah. I think
There's so many structures in place.
we have to teach our children to reach out for help. And pride is a terrible, terrible thing to have. And so our children can emulate us. I watch some kids and I'm like, he's a direct replica of his dad. The prideful spirit, the disrespectful tones that you take on with others, the lack of humility. It's really disturbing when our children are exactly how we are. We don't want our children to be anything near us. I don't care if people say, oh, you're a good coach, Kurline, but your Kurline speaks. That's not enough for me. I want my child to be better than that in everything: finances, education, relationships, just everything. I want you to become better because my child labels himself as a life coach, but his life has to be the coaching, his life. So we're always coaching others with our life. That's the first and foremost thing. So when we're raising children, and God have blessed us with children to raise, God didn't give you your kids for yourself. He gave them to you so that you can raise them so that they can be a blessing to society. And so when we're raising our children just any old how, they're all broken. And so even when I date, and I've dated some messed up men. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm just like, who raised this kid? But my first thing is I blame the parent, because I'm like, this is what you left to society. Now this man is over there disrespecting somebody's child. When you date a woman, you're dating somebody's child. And so the way you treat that person's child is a reflection of the parenting that you had in your life. It's never too late. I don't care if you weren't there as a mom for your child. I don't care if you weren't there. My thing is, you're alive and you still have the opportunity to check your kids, check your daughter, check your son. My mom does it all the time. My mom would tell me and give me the wisdom nuggets all the time. You have to be able to pour. And if you're that child that no one can speak into your life, trust me, I used to roll my eyes at my mom. I used to tell my mom, I'll call her back all the time. Oh, God damn, I gotta get off. I had to wake up out of that thing. I wasn't getting nowhere. I needed and sometimes even when I get off the phone, I'm like, yeah, but she was speaking some truth though. But I don't want to hear.
Yeah.
And it's okay. I can take that minute and the next day we can talk again. And I can petty talk you so that you can drop something real quick because I need it. But if you're at a place and no one can speak into your life, you're doing nothing but damaging your own kids. So now it becomes a generational thing. So one mess to another mess. And you're going from relationship to relationship, messing with people's children. Men, you're messing with people's children. Women, you're messing with someone's son, because it goes both ways. So you have the men who are busy disrespecting and breaking women's hearts and wasting their time and playing mind games with them. That's somebody's child you're messing with. And first and foremost, that's God's child you're playing with. I suggest you back up. And women, is the same thing for you. Deal with your hurt, deal with your trauma, deal with your stuff. And if there are men that you encounter who misunderstands your confidence as arrogance, just let them go. But also, don't be disrespectful to grown men. Don't play mind games with them. Stop with all the side pieces and all the side everything, because you're also messing with somebody's son. It goes both ways. Stop messing with people's children. I said what I said.
She said it. Well, everybody's loving it, and I cannot disagree with you. When it comes to the way things are shaping up in society these days, when we talk about civil rights and social justice, there's a lot of people who want to say that certain things shouldn't be the way that they are. And yeah, we know that. And we also know that even though things shouldn't be the way that they are, everything is also perfect all the time because it's showing you some pattern of growth.
Yeah.
And I saw that you spoke with civil rights attorney Sue Ann Robinson about the youth fighting for social justice. So could you tell all of us about that experience and what you have learned?
Yeah. I'm excited to just talk about this. So and she's an amazing individual, and actually, it's funny. So we had a lot of dialogue before the actual recording that's on YouTube that you can go catch. And so Suan is an attorney she's a civil rights attorney, and she's right there in the front line. And oh my goodness, she sees it all. She's all up in it. But one of the things when we talked about the importance of youth in the fight for social justice, one of the things that I really took away is that the importance of building allyship amongst ourselves. And so we have to come to a place as a society where we understand that even when we're fighting for social justice, that there are people that are going to come alongside us for this fight who doesn't look anything like us, who don't work the same type of jobs, who don't live the same lives that we live, right? And so there goes acceptance again, what we talked about earlier, and inclusion.
Celebrating our differences.
Yes, and celebrating those differences and understanding that allyship is important. So we need each other, and understanding that we all play a role in our fight and advancement for social justice. So we have, so most times we talk about social justice, and the first thing that comes to mind is police brutality, but that's just not all it, right? We want to talk about equity and all this good stuff that we could dive in. But I mean, we think about healthcare. We already know what's going on in this country, right? The marginalized. I mean, we talk about, so we talk about health. We can talk about healthcare. We can talk about the educational system. We can talk about, jobs and wages and all that stuff. But I know we really want to talk about police brutality in this country, which is a big deal, the racism. So we want to talk about it. But building allyship is what is a first step towards really contributing to the fight. And we can do that on social media, outside of social media, even just having conversations and being supportive. I know a lot of the attorneys like Attorney Crum and a lot of the civil rights guys out there that I follow, like Sean King and Lee Merritt, Chris and the whole gang, right? So I follow their pages heavily because one thing I like about them is that they're very big on action steps. And so even like us, Jahan, with our coaching, we love giving our clients action steps. So you're not coming just for conversation. Action steps are important. What do you do next? So signing those petitions, and before you sign, it's okay to take time to read. So there is a lot going on outside of just this. So there goes again, John, what you said earlier. Sometimes we got to make self invisible. And so there's a lot going on. So if you look at my stories sometimes, and outside of all the beautiful quotes that I put together and I post on my stories, like earlier today, I had a run with Maud because, of course, what's happening right now is the Ahmaud Arbery's case, and it's happening. So we had the whole Kyle Rittenhouse story that I want to still puke right now, but now with Ahmaud Arbery, and my heart goes out for his mom Wanda. She's amazing, and the black pastors, and again, there goes a prime example of allyship. So you see, when the pastors are coming together, and people who are even just not so spiritual or don't believe in God, they're still rallying around because they respect the church and they respect the pastors. So not saying that you have to be down that line. I think that's where we get it mixed up. So we're like, oh, I'm not religious. I don't want to hear anything about God. But it's not always about getting religious. It's building the allyship, just standing alongside each other for the common goal. What's the bigger picture? What do we want to accomplish here? And not just for us brown people. Remember, our children are coming up. So this ties in with parenting too. Our children have been raised in this country. And a lot of our children now, they love the multiracial relationship. It looks good. They love it, and we can't stop it.
I
We can't.
I don't I don't follow mainstream media outlets for this reason,
Yeah, yeah,
because it's all about provocation and misrepresentation
yeah,
of what's actually going on behind the
yeah.
scenes. And that's why I wanted to ask you this question, because when you have the opportunity to talk with Sue Ann Robinson, now you're getting the inside bit that everybody else doesn't see. And the more that that one meeting that you had with her can bleed into my podcast and go into other people's underground
Yes.
media outlets,
Mm-hmm.
the more we can get the concept of unity out to people, because that is the only way forward. If we don't do that, Martin Luther King died for nothing.
That's true.
All that came before us worked hard for nothing.
Right. All of this.
And people walk around saying stupid things like, well, I'm entitled to my opinion. No, you are fucking not. You're not entitled to anything in this life except for being a decent human being.
Yeah. Yeah.
And knowing your values
Mm-hmm.
and playing your part in the global community to make sure that all the people that died for your concept of entitlement,
Right.
for you to have that,
Right. Right.
didn't do it for nothing.
Yeah.
So stop talking shit
Mm-hmm.
and get out there and try to figure out what's actually
And do
going
your
on.
part.
Stop letting Anderson Cooper tell you what's going on.
Yeah. Out there and do your part. And that's one thing that Suan said that really, it was clearly defined action steps. And so she was saying that we understand that we all have a part to play. And so in this whole allyship. And so even if some will sign the petition, some will create the posters for the protesting. Some design it, some buy the materials, some sponsor money. And so there's a little part that we all can play in there. And if you can't go, you support those who can't go. And so when we see the huge crowd protesting and marching, not only are they brave people and they're making sacrifices, but the point is they went. They went. They're in the front lines. We're home. We're watching TV. We're reading stuff on social media. And we have the nerve to comment all kinds of stuff. And you didn't go. So make going for some people possible. So I want to say again that outside, and you can catch more of my interview, Sue Ann Robinson, Esquire, on my YouTube channel. Kurline Speaks on YouTube. She's amazing. She really is. And swing by her page and check her out. She really is amazing, especially with everything that's going on with these current events. It's good that and it goes back to what we were saying earlier, Jahan, connection and fostering those relationships, those healthy relationships, and being able to draw. Suan is a coach in her own right. And so she have not labeled herself as a coach, but when you can take time and pour into people and give those nuggets, you're coaching. And so that's what we're saying. This is the essence of this podcast tonight, is that being open to draw from each other, being open to learn from each other.
Absolutely. And I love that I had the opportunity to learn about this from you, because obviously I didn't know that's how it came about. I didn't know anything about what you were talking about. And then when you said that, I was like, oh yeah, that is a thing. And I've ignored it.
Yeah.
Because I don't like the information that I'm getting. It feels off. It feels wrong. It feels like it's breeding disconnection. So I'm going to stay away from that.
Mm-hmm. Because
I feel as though any real conscious thinking person, anybody that thinks for themselves, they know that when something's really important, the right information is going to come along. You don't have to get it from all the places we are told. Go and search. Chances are you know someone that knows more than you about it. Let yourself be coachable.
Let yourself be coachable. I love that.
So I'm just taking in all of this, and now that I know that, I'm sure there's some books or something somewhere that are going to be coming out that I can read more on this topic, because these things help me.
Yeah.
You're always coaching. When you're a coach, you're always doing it. You in public, pass people in the street, they say something to you, you end up people dump your problems on you, their problems on you, and you end up coaching, or they start talking about some current affair,
Right.
and you start
Yeah.
coaching.
Yeah.
And so you have to arm yourself with as much knowledge as
I
possible.
agree.
That old saying, knowledge is power.
Right. So that when you're in the war, you can pull out your arsenal. Sometimes people can't pull anything out because there's nothing inside of them. And so a lot of people are just one way. They're in a one-way street. This is how I knew it. This is how my culture did it. This is how my mother raised me. This is how I've done it for 20 years. It works. Why be introduced to something new? No, 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 no.
Right.
Uh-uh.
And you gotta shake him and be like, but this is no longer working.
No longer working.
Can you not see that?
Is it no longer working? If you're not even getting desirable outcomes,
Yeah.
why the heck are you still doing the same old thing? The thing that you did 10 years ago, the thing that you did 5 years ago, the thing that you did last year. You're not getting desirable outcomes and you're still doing it. Get over yourself, for goodness sake.
I have one more thing to add on this whole Kyle Rittenhouse and Ahmaud Arbery.
Trip.
This nonsense that we are witnessing play out shows us that the statement is so true, that what you allow is exactly what continues.
Yeah.
So everybody sitting down at home, we allow this to happen to you. That's what happened. It's not that somebody walked up in this place and did this thing at this time. We allowed it to get to this point that this could happen.
Yeah, I think as a society, I think collectively, we all have to take some of the responsibility. I think so. I think we have to take some of the responsibility. And I think even as a Black woman, that's a little bit difficult to say because I know that my brothers and sisters have been fighting for so long. But I'm really talking in regards to the younger generation that we're still lagging around, not getting involved in the fight for social justice. We're still talking about women getting lower wages than men for the same role, having the same credentials, the same titles, and still getting lower wages. We're talking about the disparities in the healthcare system. Women are dying because they're not getting proper care. I mean, I had this experience. Let me give you a quick story of how serious this is. And so when you think that this is not happening to common people, think again. And I say to people all the time, it's not important to you until you actually experience it. It's not important to you until it comes right in front of your door. Then you're going to understand. But I had an experience. So I went to the GYN. I went to the GYN recently, and I had particular male doctor, male GYN. Don't judge me. But he's going through the assessment and everything, and he's like, how many pregnancies? I said 1 child, 1 pregnancy. And he's like, okay, and he's typing. And he said, ever did drugs? I said, no drugs, no smoking, no nothing, no sniffing, no nada. And then he's like, okay, drinking. I said, occasional wine. Hey, y'all know I love my wine. Occasional wine. But not drinking like that. I don't know what your chart says, A, B, C, drink, don't drink, whatever you want to call it, right? I drink my wine. He comes back. Pregnancy, no abortions, no abortions or anything. And I said, 1 pregnancy, 1 child. And then he's going back. He's like, no drugs, no marijuana, no nothing, no pot, no. I said, no marijuana, no drugs, no pot. And I'm sitting there like, ready to tell this guy off because I'm like, what part of 1 pregnancy doesn't he understand? What kind of no marijuana, no drugs that he didn't understand? What part of the drinking part? What part of my English don't you understand? No, what I gathered is, and then he's looking at me and he's like, yeah, I'm typing. I'm like, yeah, but I've said this 6 times, like 1 pregnancy, 1 child. Right? And even if I had an abortion, I would have told you that, right? Don't judge me. But I said 1 child, 1 pregnancy. I'm 40 years old. I'm not crazy. I know what I did and what I didn't do. No marijuana. You know what I really wanted to say? Yeah, I did cocaine, but I was 3 years old at the time. Just to see his reaction, because it's like he's looking at me as if he's in disbelief. And
Right.
I'm smart enough to know, because it's not my first experience. It's like, she's here, but it doesn't match what statistics says.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying something right there. I know what she said, but it doesn't match what statistics says. So I'm in disbelief. So I'm going to ask her the question over and over, this micro nonsense that they got going on, microaggression. So I'm going to ask her again 3, 4 times. Maybe she might trip and say, yes, 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 I had an abortion. And so this is where my inner strength, where I didn't have to be reactive, but I was able to compose myself. It's okay. Take a deep breath if you have to before you curse everybody else out in that Kaiser Permanente, and take that deep breath and just say, one pregnancy, one child. Yes, no drugs, no marijuana, no cocaine, nothing, no ecstasy, nothing. Occasional drinking, just wine. And I had to just calmly say that. And I'm like, I'm about to bust. Like, because the disrespect is real and the microaggression is real. So again, this is what you're putting out there, but statistics say something else. And so when we talk about social justice, all of that stuff, it happens every day in different areas: healthcare, education. It doesn't end. And so it's very important that we become an active participant in the progression of social justice. It's very, very important. Find your place. I know you don't want to go march on the street. Trust me, I'm always looking to go, because I'm a forefront person. I want to be all up in the front. And I want that big thing because I want to be. But that's me.
But find
Like
the thing
Swan
that you
said,
can do.
like Swan Robinson said, our attorney, civil rights attorney, like she said, if you can just make the posters, then that's your role. If you can just sign the petitions, then that's your role. If you can share the petitions, then that's your role. But you have to do something meaningful enough that it's actually contributing to the continuous progression. So not I sign a petition and I'm good. But did you share it? Who did you send the link to? When you find something good, you share that thing. If you find a good coach, you share that coach. You find good knowledge, you share it. You found good nuggets, you share it. You found good gems, you share it. Now you become good, share you. Go out there and coach, share you. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Wow.
All right. Well,
I love that.
that's it. There's nothing else to say here. Except one more question.
Shoot.
What are your overarching goals, and what will be your legacy as a result of all your hard work?
Ah, wow. Each one, reach one to teach one. And so I've concluded that as a life coach, even if I believe in my heart of hearts that I am called to reach the masses, numbers, people everywhere, but if I can reach one person individually every single day of my life, then my work is done. The numbers does not matter unless it's effective and impactful. And so I want that to be my legacy. That if there is one person that can stand over my casket and say she changed my life, I'll be more than happy. I think I posted today earlier something in the regards of, if I can add value, I think that's my most recent post. If I can add value to your life, I'm in. I'm in. I'm all the way in. If I can add value to your life, I'm in. And you're more than welcome to add value to my life. It's a two-way street. I'm open. I'm open. If I can add value to your
It's
life, I'm in. Yes.
it's true. And when you're really adding value from a sincere place, and that's your intention, you get value back. There's no way that you're not gonna get that.
Yeah. Woo!
I dig it. I dig it. Thank you for coming on. This was awesome. Good to hear you speak. You're a powerful woman, and you're doing good work. That's right. Everybody, go out and get your copy of Moments
by Kurline Speaks.
Kurline Speaks.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for having me. This was amazing. And the comments.
Yeah.
You guys are good.
So that's the end of it. And let's just scroll through the comments and make sure that we've addressed everyone. So Edwards, awesome indeed. Amen. Facts. I like that. Corinne said earlier, each one teach one. It's never too late to learn from others. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I'm happy I made the right decision to log on tonight. I've gained knowledge and learned lots. Together we heal. Let's be remarkable. Hell yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. You guys
I don't
rock.
want to sleep again. Kurline, tonight topic have me on lockdown. All right. PJ, I love this dialogue. All right.
Yeah.
Living Proverbs. In my Sunday school, I told my students bad decisions is being unwise. Good decisions is using wisdom. So true.
Oh, I like that.
Every one of us has the superpower of choice. And if we don't learn how to use it, then we are in a lot of trouble.
Superpower of choice. I like that. Nice.
It really is. It's being aware of what your choices are and when to make a certain choice is the difference between a success and a failure in anything. You're not always going to get it right because we're imperfect by nature.
Right.
But let me tell you, so many of us just give up our power to choose. So don't do that.
I like that. Yeah. I think we do forget that we have choices sometimes. Yeah, never forget that you have choices. And everything that presents itself to you is an option. Right?
Absolutely.
Choose.
All right, well, Kurline Speaks. This has been incredible. Thanks for coming on.
My pleasure.
I'm going to hop off now. And for everyone listening, the replay will be available by tomorrow. So keep a lookout for that. Link is in my bio to get the anchor.fm. And you can follow Boundless Authenticity on Spotify and YouTube.
Sounds good.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody. Bye, Kurline.
Good night, everybody. I am so excited because we have great things in store. Thank you for sharing on Kurline Speaks. If you have not subscribed, this is your chance to do so. Hit on that word, subscribe. And let me see you in the next video. Kurline Speaks, love you. Bye now.